So it's starting to feel a little bit like spring here. Is it warming up where you are as well? Anyways, as you've probably seen from the thumbnail, the setup is going to be sort of Easter themed, or Easter egg themed, I guess. But before we get more into that, I'm going to start off by layering 2 pieces of grey paper for the title. And the background piece is grey with a sort of wood grain pattern on it, and I found that it added a little bit of extra, I don't know, texture and visual interest to the spread, so I really liked how this came out. And the top piece is a darker grey color, and I'm going to be writing the title on that, and it is going to be in gold. I'm starting off with a stencil as usual, and I only use a stencil for this part, and the rest of my headings I'm going to be writing by hand, but I do like the writing for this part to be as neat as possible, so I like to use a stencil here. Although sometimes I use lettering stickers as well, which is another great option if you're a little bit uncomfortable with hand lettering like I am. And my next step here was decorating the spread with some Easter egg doodles. And I kept the doodles really simple and loose, and I didn't really worry too much about making them perfect, which is good because drawing a perfect egg shape is really hard for me. So I kind of just embraced the imperfection and thought that it added a little bit of charm, I hope. Anyways, I also kept the patterns on the eggs really simple as well, and I'm going to be filling them in with the 2 colors you see on my right. And those are actually 2 neon colored pens, and I really enjoyed using neon for my previous setup, although there I only used 1 neon color and the rest was just normal greens. And this time I decided to go with 2 neon colors just to make it super bright and super fun and a little bit more, I don't know, crazy, I guess. Which is actually also why I decided to keep all of my headings and titles on these grey pieces of paper to make them a little bit more neutral, because I knew that the neon colors would pop a lot, so I wanted to keep the titles a little bit more neutral to kind of contrast with that. Looking at the title page after this was done, I realized that it looked a little bit too plain and boring, at least, you know, that's what I felt. So I decided to add a few gold dots, since I already used gold for the title, so I thought that it would blend in nicely and add a little bit of extra, I don't know, sparkle to the title page and make things a little bit more interesting just by adding another little pattern. And on the right side, just like I always do, I'm putting my looking forward to section. And here again, I'm using the same 2 grey papers, and I will be using those for the rest of the headings in this setup. And this is just a spread where I write down some of the things that I look forward to in April, and it actually really helps me to be more positive about the upcoming month. And since I do tend to stray towards the negative end of the thinking spectrum, this spread really helps me to stay a little bit more positive, which is definitely something that I need. And if this is something that you also struggle with, then I definitely recommend adding a spread like this into your journal, because it might help. You never know. And of course, my final step was adding just a few more Easter egg doodles, just to make the spread a little bit more interesting. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm not using the washi tape since it was on the photo in my thumbnail, I actually decided to do the entire setup just with the simplest supplies so that it's easy to recreate, and then I'm going to add the washi tape to decorate it a little bit more, just to give you a few more variations of my April setup and to give you some more ideas in case you have fewer supplies or just don't like washi tape. Onwards to the next spread, and here you can see that I'm starting with the same grey paper for the headings yet again, and of course I'm writing it in gold, well, again. And on the right side we have my mood tracker for the month. And I actually kept this one super simple. I just drew a whole bunch of eggs on the right side and added a number that represents each day of the month. And on the bottom I have my little legend, so for the sad days it's going to be the blue color, for the neutral days it's going to be blank, and for the happy days it's going to be the orange color. And on the left we have my habit tracker, for which I'm going to be using my calendar stamps yet again. And I gushed about these quite a bit in the previous video, and I'm still really happy that I have them, because they make making the spread so much easier than if you had to draw the calendars out by hand. I know that some people find drawing them out by hand really therapeutic, and if that's you, then keep doing that, that's awesome. But if not, then consider getting a set of calendar stamps for yourself as well. And last time I actually used the days of the week stamp as well at the top of the calendar, but this time I kept that area blank because that's actually where I'm going to be putting the habit that I'll be tracking. So we'll see how that works out and which way I like better. And my final little step to decorate the spread was adding a line of Easter eggs on the left, because the right side was already so busy, so I wanted to add a little bit to the left to make it a little bit more interesting. And of course I filled them in with the same two neon colors. And at the very last moment I actually also decided to add some more gold dots to these spreads, and I actually kind of regret doing that. I mean, it doesn't look bad, I guess, I just kind of liked how it looked better before I added the dots, but you live and you learn, I guess. Next up we have the calendar spread, and you'll see in a little while that I messed this up a lot. I still decided to keep this part in case you're interested in seeing me mess up, and because I actually prefer it when YouTubers keep their mistakes in the video, just because I like to see that, you know, nobody's perfect, we're all human and we all make mistakes. So here is mine, and actually it was quite a big one. As you can see, well, maybe you can't see because it's kind of hard to see it on camera, but that entire top row of boxes are in the wrong place, and instead of fixing it, which would have taken a lot of whiteout, I decided to just glue the two pages together and start fresh on the next page. As I'm doing this voiceover though, I realized that I could have just taken a piece from the back of my journal and glued that on top, and that would have been much easier, but I also decided to change the look of my calendar a little bit, and I do like more how it came out on, well, the second try, so I guess it kind of all turned out for the best. So, for my second attempt, I decided to only draw one corner of each box for the days. And I have to say, I actually really like how this came out, so I think I'm going to be doing this in the future as well sometimes. And for the days of the week, I'm using some grey washi tape. And you can use the same grey paper you've been using for the headings, or whatever color paper you're using if you're gonna do a setup like this. And I would have done that, but honestly I was a little lazy and the washi tape is fairly close in color, so I just decided to use that. And I'm actually fairly happy that I did, because you will see that I make a mistake with that as well, and I actually had to peel off one of the days, well, two of the days actually. And this kind of mistake is definitely much easier to fix with washi tape that just easily comes off the page than it would have been if I'd actually glued down pieces of paper. I also used the same gold marker to write in the dates, and I thought that that kind of made it a little bit more interesting than it would have been if I just used black, and I didn't want to use one of the neon colors because I felt like that would have just been too bright, plus I knew that I would add some neon Easter egg doodles later, so I wanted to keep those colors just to the Easter eggs. And here you can see me adding in those Easter egg doodles. And I added a bunch at the top left because there was a bunch of empty space there, and a few at the bottom right corner. And I have a confession to make here. I knew that I would be using washi tape, so I didn't add more Easter eggs on the right. And if I hadn't been using washi tape, I probably would have. I still think it looks fine like this, but it feels a little bit empty on the right side, so if you're not going for washi tape and you are planning to recreate a spread similar to this, I do suggest you add a few more doodles to the right if you do like a busier look to your spreads. You probably won't be surprised that for the next spread I'm using the same gray paper and gold marker for the headings. And these spreads are my tasks on the left and my accomplishments spread on the right. So on the left I'm going to be writing down some of the tasks that I want to do in April, and on the right I'm going to be writing down some of my accomplishments for April. And the spread on the right is another spread that, I don't know, helps me to be a little bit more positive, because I do tend to write down too many tasks for the month, and at the end, when I've only crossed out a few of them, I feel like I didn't actually accomplish anything. So it really does help me to really try to dig down and figure out what some of my accomplishments for the month were. So this is really helpful. And if you have similar issues, then I recommend adding in a spread like this to help you feel a little bit more positive. Of course, I had to add some Easter egg doodles to the spread since, well, that is my entire theme, and this time I kept things really simple and I drew 3 eggs on each side at the bottom of the spread. And I drew the Easter eggs in 3 different sizes, and I thought that the end result was actually kinda cute, even if it's a really simple spread. Now we have my monthly review spread, and this is a spread where I just write down whatever I want to review about the month. So how I did in terms of my tasks, how my health was, how I was feeling, and anything else that I might find useful in the future if I ever go back to look at the spread, which I do tend to look at my monthly reviews, so this is pretty much anything that I think that future me will find helpful when I'm thinking about future goals and, well, anything like that. I'm not sure if I explained this very well. I feel like I didn't, but I think this is the best I can do at the moment. For some reason, it's really hard for me to find the words for this spread. Anyways, I ended up decorating it with some more Easter egg doodles, of course. And this time I used the same sort of pattern of 3 different sizes, but I only drew it on the right side of the spread because the left side already had the title, so it was already a little bit more interesting, so I wanted to make the right side a little bit more interesting as well. Next up we have the highlights spread, which is definitely another spread that I add to help me with my positive thinking when it comes to the month. And here I again try to dig deep down and think about the best moments of the month. And I force myself to fill an entire spread, 2 pages that is, with things that happened that I really liked. And this again helps me to focus on the positive things that happened this month rather than the negative things. So I find that pretty helpful. Plus, this is such a wholesome spread to look back on and remember all of the good things that happened in a particular month. And just like for the previous spread, I added some Easter egg doodles on the opposite side of the heading, because again, the heading already made the spread look a little bit more dressy on that particular side, so I decided to dress it up a little bit on the opposite side as well, with doing a bunch of vertical Easter egg doodles. And last but definitely not least, we have my gratitude spread on the left, which is where I write down all of the things that I'm grateful for in terms of the month, and on the right we have my perspective shift spread. So I've mentioned here and there that I do have trouble with negative thinking, and this is where I try to turn my negative things, or whatever negative things happened in that month, into something positive. So I don't know, if I failed at something, then I try to think about what I learned from that failure. If something bad happened, I try to think about how I can make that into a positive thing. So this is pretty much another self-care spread that helps me with my negative thinking. And I decorated this particular spread with more Easter egg doodles at the bottom. So I pretty much just added a line of Easter egg doodles at the bottom of the spread to make it a little bit more interesting. Now it's time for the flip through of all of these spreads, before I add washi tape, that is. So if you're only interested in this part, then feel free to stop watching. And if not, then, well, washi tape is coming up. Let me know if you prefer the spreads with or without washi tape though, I'm really curious. I actually definitely like them both ways, but since I love washi tape so much and it does dress up the spreads a little bit, and if you've seen some of my videos you know that I like my spreads a little bit busier, then, well, I preferred them with washi tape, but I still like the cleaner and simpler look of the spreads without as well. Starting off with the first spread, I added some wide bird and bird nest washi tape with a slightly vintage feel to it to the bottom, and I thought that this went very well with my Easter egg theme, just because it has a very spring feeling to it. So here it is. And I also added some gold washi tape, layering that washi tape underneath to add a little bit more sparkle. And then I added that same gold washi tape on the right side of the spread and layered that with a little bit of grey washi tape to match the headings. Next up we have my already really busy habit tracker and mood tracker. So here I didn't use much washi tape, but I did use a little bit at the bottom of the habit tracker, and there I layered a pink tape and a blue tape, both of which are pretty thin, so they definitely fit in that little space. And I also added a strip of very thin blue washi tape to the right side, just to make things a little bit more interesting. Next up we have the calendar spread, and if you remember I did mention that it had a lot of empty space at the top right corner, or well, most of the right side of the spread really, so I was really happy to fill that in with some washi tape. And I knew that I was going to do this, which is why I kept it empty of doodles. And here it is. I filled it in with some more of that gold washi tape and some more of that bird washi tape as well. My final touch for the spread was adding a really thin strip of blue washi tape and some grey washi tape at the very bottom. Now, the grey washi tape is very neutral, so I didn't think that it made the spread too much more, I don't know, busy I guess, but it still added a little bit of something extra, which is what I wanted. For this spread, I kept things really simple, and I only added 2 strips of washi tape to the bottom of the spread, one of which was that gold washi tape and the other was the light blue washi tape. And I thought that keeping them a little bit smaller than if I'd added the bird washi tape made the spread a little bit simpler, but still kind of, I don't know, cute, I guess. Anyways, I guess I just didn't want this spread to be too busy, so I didn't use the bird washi tape here. For this spread, I did want to use the bird washi tape though, and I layered it with the gold washi tape again because I really like that look, and to add a little bit of sparkle on the left side of the spread, since that side had only the title, so it was begging to be a little bit more decorated. And on the right side, since it already had some doodles, I kept things more neutral with a thin strip of blue washi tape and some grey washi tape. And this spread was very similar to the previous spread in the sense that it only had the heading on one side, and of course I ended up decorating that side with my most busy washi tape, which is my bird washi tape. But this time, instead of layering it with my gold washi tape, I added a thin blue washi tape to, well, the side, I guess. I don't know, I'm explaining this very badly. Anyways, I added some thin blue washi tape instead, just because I wanted to match the Easter egg doodles on the left side of the spread instead of the title. And for the last spread, since the spread already had a bunch of doodles at the bottom and the headings at the top, I decided to decorate the sides with some washi. And this time I used some gold washi tape to add a little bit more sparkle, and some more of that same thin blue washi tape to add a little bit more color. And we have reached the final flip through, yet again, except this time it's really final, and this time it has washi tape, which, by the way, is my favorite stationery. So I think I already mentioned this. Okay, I'm getting a little bit tired, so it's a good thing that we're almost done. So, I really hope you like this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope that you have a wonderful month. Bye!